Now you'll all say, hey, this is being recorded. All right. All right, thanks for that catch. Because what did I say to myself in my head 5 minutes before? Don't forget to record. Don't forget. Now we're screen recording. So this is the key image, and this is what generally what I'm going to end up with at the end of the demonstration today, although I'm using slightly different colors the whole way through. So this is my key image, and this is how I split those up. First of all, I have a layer that has the line drawing part on it. So as you can see here, this didn't take a lot of change. The lines were already black. I didn't have to do anything to it. But if I had line drawings that were in any other color in my illustration, I'd want to make sure that I changed them all to black. That way, when you bring it into the exposure unit, it blocks out the light and you get a good, good image transferred to your emulsion. So that is the key image. So when this gets dropped down on top, then it's going to pull everything together. These two I combined together. So these were the little light bulb ear things, and then the red dial that's going to, or the dial that's going to be on the chest. I think I'm using a pink for that color. Then I have the main shapes here, which are the robot and then some of the landscapey mountain things, as you can see. Now, if we put this one on top of it, you can see that those are all different color. It's, in my image, it's sort of a light gray background. In here, though, when I copied these to their own layer, I needed to make sure that I changed it all to black and made sure that I had my opacity at 100%. I think on this one here, if I click on this, yeah, see the opacity for this particular color was at 60%. That's where I liked that. But if I had just gone back into this and let me close that, you can see, oh, is it locked? It's locked. I'm not quite sure why it's keeping it at 60%. Oh, there we go. So if I did 60%, you can see how much lighter that is, and it would likely allow some of the exposure light to go through. I'm just going to do that. Escape out. And then the last layer is the text in the background, the binary text that reads Robo Boogie, for those of you who are interested in reading that binary. All right, so all together, as I stack these together, you can see here, those two fill in those circle, the light bulb ears, the dial on the chest. This is the landscape and the rest of the body, and then the text that goes behind it. You can see I have a couple weird kind of shapes poking out on the side. That's because I wanted to cover some stuff up behind it, some of the letters and things, numbers that were shining through or going to print through. And I didn't need to print those. It just made it confusing. So I'm going to turn all of those off. And then I'm going to show you the actual transparencies that I printed out. They're on the board behind me. I'm going to start with Blackout. So this is the body and the landscape things. Then I have tape on, these will end up going backwards. I just put the tape on the backwards so they wouldn't get on the emulsion. This one, for those of you who are here, you might be able to see how it got kind of cloudy in that spot. It's because I left them back there by accident. They were on top of the refrigerator, and with all of the spraying and everything else that happened, the moisture got on top of this one and then started to turn the emulsion kind of clouded. I could probably still print this without expose it without any problems, but just to show you, you always want to get your stuff out of the way so that doesn't happen. All right, so if I lay this down right on top, I can put those in right close like that. Get these spun around just a little bit. I'm doing this the right way. Oh. Like that. That's where those land. You can see on the back side here how those went together. Let's do the image on top of that, which would go right about like this. Really close to that. And all of the numbers which get printed behind the robot go sort of like this. Just so you can see, this is a good last minute check to make sure that your transparencies all line up together, so that when you go into printing, you didn't accidentally print this one at, I don't know, 70% the size, and these are printed at 90% of the size. Depending on how they fit on your transparencies, you may have to make that modification before you print it. So this is where these go. They actually go like this. Like that. And so I ended up blocking out some of those so that they wouldn't print. So that's why we can kind of see those are all empty throughout. So that's the process in, I guess, separating those layers and laying them out. Are there any questions about that process?
Curtis?
Yeah, go ahead.
If I may, just like what we were just talking about with enlarging and sorts, can we bypass that by doing the image layout first, like making the layout obviously the same size as the acetate or the acetate?
So yes, the short answer is yes, you can do that.
Okay.
This was actually an image that I designed for an 11 by 15 sheet of like artboard. And so when I went to print it, then I printed it down onto a smaller, I just hit size to fit the page. You know, as you, sometimes when you see that, when you're printing things, you can hit sizes so that it all fits on that page. And that's what I did with these ones. So I knew that they were all the same size.
Okay, so you created a separate document before, but for us, we're creating this primary document, so we're not going to really have that issue unless, you know, we take it from another Illustrator file.
Yeah, I don't think you should have an issue unless you take it from a different file. The only thing that I would say a caveat to that would be is that if you are working, let's say you're printing on an 8.5 by 11 acetate and your page, you know, your artboard is 8.5 by 11, that's going to print outside the printable margins.
Of course.
And so just sizing it to fit on that, that'll pull it in just a tiny bit. So it's always, it's a tool to use.
Sure. Okay. No, I just wanted to clarify that. Excellent. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so that is the process of separating those. And you can see back here, and as I'm pulling things out, last week I exposed and printed all the screens. So I've got these all ready to go. I ran out of tape, and then I forgot to bring tape in today. So the back side you'll see is kind of a hodgepodge of masking tape and regular tape, which drives me insane, but that's what I have to do today. And I thought the shop had contact paper in it so that I could use contact paper, but I couldn't find that either. So I'm just showing you all of the screens right here. And this one in particular, I think is interesting because this one had, originally I was going to have this circle be a gray and these two be the red that were the light bulbs on the ears. I could still do that if I put a piece of tape on the back side of this screen so that it didn't print. So then I could put red ink here and then pull the red ink down and it would fill in these two spots, but it wouldn't fill this spot on the paper because there's something blocking it. That way I could get a couple images on one screen and make use of all of this, like this landscape, real estate, sorry. So then when I went to go print, if I was going to print these in two different colors, then I could take the tape off or the contact paper off the backside of this, put some up here to keep the gray from printing through this, and then print down here. So this is a way for you, if you're doing small images like this too, where you can put all of those, or you can put several small images on here, block the other ones out with either contact paper or piece of tape on the back, print those, and then come back to it, and then just take that off, block the other ones as you go around. Does that make sense?
Is that the economical way?
This is, yeah, you know, I mean, and then also if you don't have, I'm lucky enough to have, what do I have, 8 or 10 screens.
Right.
I have a lot of screens, but if you only had one screen, this would really speed up that process. So, but for today's demo, I'm going to be doing the same color on this. So I'm just going to be pulling thread through this. Actually, what the paint color that I had over there. The next step with this is to try and figure out what is the best image to start with. So I'm going to share my screen real quick so I can share kind of my thought processes with this. So I'm trying to figure out what is the best screen, or which was the best layer to start with so that I can register all of the rest of the pieces. And so let's take a look at this one. This one would be pretty difficult for me to get everything situated perfectly on that. There's a lot of open spaces, and I remember that my line work is all kind of frenetic. It's all over the place. So this one is not going to work. These two, but if I don't get those put exactly in the right place on the piece of paper, I could be too far off to the left or too far off to the right when I print this, and it may not work out that way or work out well for me. I could end up printing off the paper. This one here, the key image, this would be a great one to start with, because I have all of the places and I can move everything into place, except for I don't want those other colors to cover up any of the line work. So if I printed this one first, then when I put the red on top of it or the gray on top of it, it's going to cover up that line work. So that's not going to work. So by process of elimination, this is the one that I'm going to start with. So I'm going to start with this one here. Then I'm going to go to these two. You can't quite see this one because it's on top of the other one. And I'm going to print those ones. And then I'm going to go to the line work. And then because these don't print, the numbers don't print on top of anything, I have them cut out. I'm going to print that last. And then I can move those around so that to make sure that like in this space right here, that 0 lines up in the right place and this 1 is in the right place. It's not laying down on top of things. That's the idea. We'll see how well that works for me today, but that's what I'm looking to do. And this is the finished image here. In terms of me like talking through this process, are there any questions about what I was thinking about as I went through that?
Clever.
Thank you. Cynthia? No? All right. So just making sure, I just want to make sure that you all got that. The next step is doing the registration and going through some of those things. So let me stop sharing here. So I'm going to go through and do a complete print of this. I'm going to do, I think I can do 4 or 5 pretty easily and still keep it in time. So I have all the inks out. I have all the screens out. I have my paper done. I can go through this pretty quickly. I'm going to be enlisting help from the class here so that they can pull my paper off, get it off to the side, get it on the rack, and then so that we can go through these colors pretty quickly so we can all kind of see that. I didn't bring my tripod today, so this is going to be kind of a wonky business of having my laptop here close by. I'm going to have it up on the top. And then when we need to show things, I'm going to go through it with my phone just to kind of show you how everything looks underneath the screen. Okay, so give me about 2 minutes here to get logged in and get my screen set up. Let's see, here we go. Let's get this out here in front. All the way up there, there we go. That's got to be a fun view right there. Let's see here, meetings. All right. So here is the screen. I'm just going to get this locked into the clamps here. Down. All right. So you can see I've got that on the swing. Let's turn this camera on so you can see what I'm doing underneath. How do I turn that on? There we go, video. All right, so we'll turn this around. How do I get to flipping this? I feel like an old dude right now. How do I, there it is. All right, so here you go. All right, so here's the screen. It's just in the clamp down. And I have my acetate underneath. I already have it taped so that I can print right down onto this, the very first print. I can print onto this, and then I can see where I need to register the paper. I've got all my paper here in this bag. It's raining this morning, so when I walk out the house, I'm going to that. So I'm going to put this back over here and give you a good shot of the screen, maybe, possibly the rest of everyone in the room. All right, so I have 5 sheets of paper and they all have their hinges on them already. So I'm going to put one set of those into the hinges. So I have it here so that I can get my registrations. And the rest of you can come all over here if you're not getting a good enough view on through Zoom. So I'm just making sure that I get everything kind of centered, just a little bit set. I didn't want to push the tape down too much, too hard yet. I want to make sure that when this comes down, I can see where the paper is. And if you look carefully, you can see that I'm printing really close to the top. So when I print on this piece of plastic, I know that I'm going to have to push the paper up. So I might as well do that now, so I don't have to worry about doing this when the ink is wet and I'm trying to rush through and get things. So I'm just going to move this up just a little bit. You kind of see, just moving it up. Pull this back down. There's the right side. The left side is right here, right on there. I'm going to print off the edge, so I know the paper's got to go that way just a little bit, but the top and the bottom look good. Let's move this over to the left just a little bit. How that works, right there, right there. Moved it just a little too much, so let's come back just a little touch. Keep this pressure on this paper with my elbow so it doesn't move anywhere. Now, I've got a nice space here on the bottom, on the left and the right, at the top, just quite a bit at the top. So I'm just going to bring it down just a tiny bit. Let's see, doing this with one hand. Jasmine, could you hold this for me? Thank you. Jasmine is honorary cinematographer today, videographer. All right, let's see where that's at. Okay, so I like where that's at right now, but I'm not going to tape it down because I don't want to be fussing with sticky tape to get. So I have the acetate down, it's nice and smooth. And so then I'm going to do a print on here. I'll make sure that the paper's where I want it, and then it's go time. Then I got to do a lot of printing. So Cynthia, you're gonna be my other hands. When I pull the print and I lift it up, your job is to pull that out, okay? Malaya, you're my other set of hands. You're going to take a clean piece of paper and you're going to stack this down into the pins, okay? All right, so teamwork. So we'll be able to do this really quickly. All right, so as we're working through this, what was I going to use for the thing? Shoot, what color?
Curtis, are you gonna put the little piece of cardboard?
Thank you. As I'm going through, so the question was, what about the pucks? And I definitely need the pucks right here underneath, and I need tape. So you were all, hey, so you were all way ahead of me. You've all done this enough times to be able to figure out, wait a second, you're missing something. I feel like my job is done here. I'm going home. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Screen printing. All right, here we go. Just get this down.
And then you need the paper that has the ink already, right?
What's that?
Am I just?
Yeah, so you'll take it and then put it on the she's gonna come walking right by your mind, so if you move right to this guy, that'll be good. Can you take the chair with you? Oh, yeah. There you go. Okay, so now I think we're set. So you can see we've got the pucks. Everything is pretty well into space, into its place. And once I start doing this, I'm not actually going to be taking time to clean things out, clean things up. I'm just going to take this screen, set it over by the sink, and then I'm going to grab the next screen, and we're just going to keep moving and moving all the way through. Just looking at the ink to see how loose it is. Looks like it's in pretty good shape. Gosh, looks brand new. Palette nice. Oh my God. I know I could frost a cake with this right now. But, all right. All right, so a nice bead of ink. I'm just going to kind of smooth that out a little bit so that it's even. Get this out of the way. Remember your flood coats, you don't have to push hard, you're just filling it in with ink. Grab just a little bit of ink, pull down. Push that back up. And you can see that's not too bad. Like the placement, maybe a little heavier on this side, but for the sake of the demo, I'm not going, oh, but if I move it around, that doesn't help. Thank you. Just let that go. And now my tabs won't move throughout the rest of this. So I'm just going to roll that over. Actually, let me put a piece of newsprint underneath that. That way we can keep some of that ink off the table as I'm rolling this over. There we go. And now it's just time to print. So we'll take a okay. Second set of hands. Cynthia just took the wet print away. Malaya is getting the new paper put down. Remember, the reason we're using these pens too is when it comes time to register, we know that once we get it registered, that this image is going to be in the same exact spot every single time. I don't like the way that that came out. I didn't get, because I didn't use 2 hands. There we go. Remember to do that next time. And as we're doing this, so because it's like today, of course, it's kind of a humid day. It'll take a little longer to dry, but I think we should be okay still as we do this. And this is the last one. So when it comes time to print the next color on top of this, I don't think we should have to worry about there being wet ink underneath here. There we go. Then, I forgot to get a block. I'm improvising with the tape can. Forgot to grab a bundle shaper. And I'll just get the rest of this cleaned out and not worry about cleaning the screen out just yet. But I do want to save this ink because it's a quite lovely hue. All right, so the next step is just to get this unhooked and get the next one prepped and ready to go. So I'm just going to put this over by the sink. Pull this up. So I don't think we're going to have to worry about that ink being wet because it's already drying here on the top. But I do need to clean it. And I thought I had everything set. I don't want to print on top of this again unless it was completely dry. It could end up getting stuck to the back of the screen and then putting ink on the back of the screen as well. So I want to make sure I get this cleaned off. And because it's the water-based acrylic cleanup stuff that we have, it comes off pretty easily. So take the time to clean it off so you don't end up with ink on your the back of your screen, which would then end up on your paper. All right, now we're ready to go to the next screen, which was, if I remember right, the earbuds and the dial. So I'm going to pull this up, tighten it in, make sure that it doesn't move around on me. Pull that up. I have to now get rid of the, pull those up just to make sure that they're loose. Get those out of the way. Actually, what we'll do is we'll take that very first one. So let's bring one of those prints back over. We'll put these. So you can see here, just going to click those in. And then when I print on this plastic, then it's going to, it'll come, then I'll be able to adjust it and get it set right away. Make sure that that's flat. Using a small squeegee because it's a very small area. And I have to be careful. I ran out of tape here, so I have a lot of spaces around the outside, but I want to make sure that I don't pull ink through. This one, there's small holes, small spaces, areas to fill. We're not doing very many of these, so I don't need a whole lot of ink. So I will code it. Print. And take a look at it. Cynthia, can you hold this? Get that. Put right about, oh, those colors are really, it's like they were meant to go together. Look at those pastel colors. Not at all what my drawing looked like, but get that printed kind of like that. Good. Now, here's the important part. So Jasmine, I'm going to lift this up just a little bit, and I want you to kind of look at, get down. Oh, I just put that into the ink. How the paper is off center here a little bit. It's because this wasn't in the space, like totally parallel or in the same exact place as the original one. So I can move this paper around all I want to in order to get things to line up, right? So, whoops. I'm glad I did that on the plastic. Can you move that? Thank you. Put it back down. And let's get that out there. Thank you. All right, so there we go. Oh, hold on a sec. There we go. So let's hold that up just so we can see it real quick. It's a nice looking print. Let me turn it this way too for a bigger. Kind of see how that's fitting in there. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Since it's a smaller one, it doesn't want to sit there very tight. This one I'm getting a little messier with the ink on my fingers because I dropped the squeegee into the ink. Oh, that's right, I need to hold on to it. And you can see now how nice it is to have an extra set of hands. Here I have 2 extra sets, and it helps this process to go by really quickly. So if you're getting ready to print and you've got a partner or a friend in the class, this helps things go by really quickly. And that was the last one, huh? Dang, that was quick. See, now we're moving. Get this. Brian, can you give me a Bondo scraper out of that? A what? A Bondo scraper. And as I was a Bondo scraper, oh, sorry. But Brian saved me here because I put my screen back down without putting a block underneath. I think I would probably be okay because I have the pucks underneath. Oh wait, did I put pucks on here? I didn't. Always put the pucks on here. Whose job was it to remind me about pucks?
I guess mine.
All right. So last time I didn't scrape any of that ink off. This time I'm going to remember to scrape the ink off. Okay. We'll get these things out of the way. Get into the next one. I'm going to lay this one on top here. That's all of my stuff. I can take that.
It's not close properly.
So the next one, next color is blue. The next color is going to be, it's a kind of a plum. And that's going to be the key image. So put that down, and then the last one that will go on top will be the binary, and then that's going to be in a light blue. Give me a block of wood out of there. Thank you, Brian. That'll help remind me to do that. And the next thing that I need to remember is to put some pucks underneath here. You know, the first time I pulled, when I did that first print with this, it sounded like static. And that's because it wasn't releasing from the plastic, which should have been find you to say, hey, why did it sound like that? Oh yeah, I'm missing these things. But we got away with it, which doesn't always happen. I've got these on the corners, the pucks. And then I picked up 2 pucks that are different sizes, different thicknesses. I feel like I just got ink on my forehead. All right. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take these pins out. We're going to grab one of the prints. Take them right out. And we'll get those lined up. And then we'll get those underneath the, just putting the pins back in. And then I'm going to put this underneath the plastic, underneath the Mylar. Just get it a little closer to where it's supposed to be. Come in a little close. So you see how, if you didn't have the pins, you would end up having to do this to try and get it lined up so you could see where it's going to be lining up. Let's see, I need to move the print this way to the left just a little bit. Too far. That's pretty close. So when I print on top of the Mylar, then I'm just going to have to fine tune that adjustment. Brian, while I'm doing this, could you get me another Bondo Prism? Yeah. Okay. I should grab all of them while I was there. This one, I'm going to have to be really careful. Oh, no, I guess I have green tape on it. It just looks like I can see through it here. So here is the line work. I didn't need this. And I need a squeegee. Okay, so I'll print onto the plastic. Coat. Everything lined up from there. And that should fit now because it's big enough. And can you come underneath? You can kind of see how that's get that lined up like a little bit right there. And one of the things that I can do with this, because it's kind of an offset image, is even if I don't get the registration exactly perfect, like I think maybe, no, those look, that looks pretty good. It doesn't have to be exact because I chose to do a wonky offset kind of drawing, which is going to work out for me in this case, because no matter how, unless it was really horrible, it's going to end up looking pretty good. And that should be, yeah, that one should be in good shape. I'm just going to lay the plastic over, and then we'll print these. We'll get these ones done. Let's see how that looked. Okay. That's great.
Oh, you want me to show it?
We'll do the next one. We'll show you what it looks like here at home. Oof. Ink all over my fingers again. Let's pull that one out. And I've got pretty inky fingers here. Walk over to, you see that? Woo. Nice. All right, thank you. So let's see, we've got 5 prints we're doing. We're doing 4 colors, I think. So each one of these prints is going through 4 times. So I'm having to pull this squeegee 20 times as you go through it. And it's so nice to have extra hands bringing me paper right when it's ready. Really encourage you to do that. Work with a partner. I'm trying to hide my excitement because I'm not supposed to be as excited as I am, but this is turning out pretty well here. And especially since I was just pulling colors off the shelf over here and everything is working pretty well. Was that it? Oh, you know, because I'm supposed to be the instructor. I shouldn't be so excited about two colors matching up quite the way that they are, but boy, I'm pretty excited about that. All right, so that bond looks paper. Thank you. And I can't hide my excitement. What's that?
I'm like, I'm excited just lifting up.
All right, so as we get done with this, as I'm talking through this, it's kind of leading up to what I'm going to be demoing on Thursday. So on Thursday, I'm going to be doing 4-color process, which is cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. And that process is used to produce photographic images. So if you take a photograph, then you can essentially screen print it, replicating the colors that are in the photograph. So it's pretty awesome sort of technique. And where I'm using, I think I'm doing 4, 5, am I doing 4 colors today? And I'm getting 4 colors. So these are spot colors. So I'm doing printing 4 colors and I'm getting 4 colors. When you're doing the CMYK, then you're going to get 200, you could get a 256 million, like whatever you're printing, your photo looks like. So it's pretty incredible way to add lots and lots of colors to your work with only having to print over it 4 times. So I will be doing a demo just like this with that on Thursday. And then also I'm going to try and remember to bring my tripod so that I don't have to enlist a student to help out with that. And no matter what it looks, what the video looks like, Jasmine, you're doing a great job. I appreciate it. Okay, so we're going to get the, let's do the pins on this. So just getting this one ready. And then I'm realizing too that I don't have my acetate cleaned off. You can see here that the duct tape is getting in pretty bad shape, but it's it'll make it all the way through. I'm just going to clean the acetate off real quick. Thank you. All right, so the acetate is cleaned, but I'm worried that this is going to print off the top. No. Okay. I'm going to use this lovely blue that somebody mixed up in the shop to do the binaries behind it. I really like how that turned purple on top of that green. I'll take a good photo of it so that you can see what that looks like. This screen, however, does not have any tape on the edges, so I need to be careful when I'm pulling the squeegee down that I don't get ink out underneath and all over the table space. Is that big enough? Okay. I almost wiped it on my, see that? One of those kinds of things. All right, so we're getting ready for this very last one. So I'll flood it, I'll print it, we'll get it registered, and then we'll see what this one looks like here. Okay. Oh, dang. I should have printed the numbers first. I've got a bunch of numbers that are going to print on top of my image, I think. Well, let's see, maybe I can get this moved just right.
Or you can't block out the numbers?
I could, I've already put ink in it. That's going to be, but it's not going to be too bad, actually. I think if I pull this up, I think this one was almost perfect. Let me get that one set. We'll do that. And then we'll move this one up just a little bit. Oh,
It almost looks fitting.
there we go. That'll work. It's not perfect. I should have blocked out some, really given myself a lot more room. Jasmine, can you kind of show that? You can see here where it's going to print just a little bit. It's going to print too close for me, but it'll work for this definitely. If I had blocked those out a little bit more, then it would have been great. Like I wouldn't have had to worry about that at all. All right. Okay, so let's do this. We'll see what this one looks like here. And okay, that's good enough. I just wanted to double check before we go and showcase that to. All right. And, you know, after you have that one put in, then you don't have to worry about it. You just pull the squeegee. If you watch any of the screen printing demos that I do, there's one where I talk about how all this is and registering all these. And then the other thing that I have at the top of my screen is one of those hand spring clamps. And then that keeps this from falling down completely. And I don't have to worry about it because it stands it up straight like that.
Yeah,
We just don't-
lined perfectly.
This one, this was the last one?
Yeah.
Dang, that went fast too. So here we go. Oh, and I just stuck my finger in there, but I think it would dry it out already. So we'll take a good photo of this to share out. Let's talk about any kinds of questions that may have come up as we're going through this demo. Anything? Anything from anyone? So the biggest, I think my biggest suggestion to you is just to make sure is to work with somebody else. You can do this on your own. If it's really hot and dry out though, you'll need to work way, way faster just because you don't want the ink to dry in the screens. But if you have even just one extra set of hands that can take that, put it in, and then you can keep your inky hands on the squeegee and not touching any of the paper, then that helps speed it up really quickly. And once you're done with it, then you just take them, just take it to the power washer and spray it out after you've reclaimed whatever ink you can off of your screen and off of your squeegee. And then you're ready to start the process all over again. So for those of you that are at home with Zoom, now is the time where I'll dismiss you so that you can go ahead and go into and continue to work on your relief projects. For the rest of us here, we're going to focus on getting our screens printed or exposed and then start printing like this, okay? So that's kind of what's on tap for us. Those of you who are at home, I'm looking forward to seeing you on Thursday. And then I'll do another demo that'll take like the first 45 minutes to an hour again for the photographic stuff, all right? And then we'll take photos of that, but we'll also record that here so that you'll have an opportunity to go back and watch that at a later time. All right, so everyone at home, we'll see you on Thursday, all right? And then the rest of you, we'll start, I'll get this all cleaned up and then we'll start doing, if you want to show me your work, I can look at that and then we can, or you can start pulling out your screens and start screen printing too.
Thank you, Curtis.
You bet. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you.
Professor.
Evan, thank you so much.
Curtis, I had a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you think I could come by just like today to pick up the ink from the shop?
Yeah, definitely. Do it.
All right, I'll stop by soon. Thank you.
Okay, cool.
Hi, Professor. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Do we have to bring our own paper?
So yes, you'll bring the paper that was in your kit.
Okay.
That'll be paper. For this one, I was working with a larger sheet of paper that I brought in. So you can bring in whatever paper you want to work with.
Okay. Is there a paper you recommend?
Anything that is fairly rigid and smooth.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
All right. Let's see here. Danielle or Tony, anything? Or Jasmine Correa? Nope. Tony, anything?
How many transparencies are we supposed to bring for this project?
Well,
Was there a number?
whatever however many colors you use in your screen print, you should have a transparency for each one of those colors.
Okay.
Okay, anything else?